My name is Sinclair Fleming, CEO of P3 Paper Plastic Products. Every Wednesday, I answer real business questions that come in through WhatsApp from operators, founders, executives dealing with real decisions. No theory, no motivation, just actually how this works in real business life. If you're building, scaling, trying to avoid expensive mistakes, this series is for you. Now let's get into today's questions. Okay, one thing I focused on that gave me the highest return in growth is investing in myself, my learning, my understanding, new technology, decreasing OPEX through new technologies, kind of as the leader, concentrating on recruitment, concentrating on growth, concentrating on these different aspects. Because the business can't, if you're the leader, the business can only grow as big as your imagination. And the more context and knowledge and different things that you put into place, it gives you a wider scope of decision-making capabilities. So I would say that's like the biggest thing I would say that contributes to growth. And then the second biggest thing is recruitment, right? Getting people that know more than you to the point where you can audit them, but they have more skills, they have more experience, they're not scared to put their input into things and run with different situations without you. So these are the things that help you to grow. So the biggest mistake while I was growing that I made that looked like the right decision at the time. I hired someone to do something that I didn't know how to do. If you hire someone, it seems like a good idea because you want them to grow your sales or run HR or do some processes or something, right? And they have the ability, they're coming from a big corporate structure into your startup, and you think it's a good idea until that person puts their own spin on it, or they take the framework from a larger company and apply it to your startup, which isn't really there. Or the worst thing of all of it is that you don't know how to properly audit and evaluate that person. They know so much more about it in that situation that you can't really evaluate them. Now, I'm not saying that you need to be an expert in it to hire another person, but you need to be, as Gary Vee says, dangerous in most things so that you know enough to evaluate, but you don't need to know every corner of the discipline. So that's one of the things I did. I hired someone too far above and they were too expensive. And it's not because they won't want the money, but my infrastructure couldn't handle it at the time. And it didn't have enough work for them to do at the time. So even if the infrastructure could pay them the money, they were bored or uninterested or they didn't see upward mobility. So these are things you have to look out for. At what point did I realize the business was actually working and not just surviving? I think this was when I didn't have to chase after leads as much as I used to. Customers were coming to us, demand was rising to the point where we couldn't keep up with supply. So that was an interesting time. And also when it comes a little funny part when things start to happen in the business without you, because the business takes on a life of its own. Departments take on a life of their own. Sales take on a life of their own. So you're not directly impacted in every single decision and or process or situation that happens and it's happening correctly. So whether it fails or it happens correctly, the key is that the business is now not only not in survive mode, it's in growth mode. And that's why maybe you start to get some cracks, so people start to do things without being audited because you had to grow so much that now you need new systems in place to kind of deal with the new company that's there. So that's those are two other ways that you start to realize that the business is not in survival mode anymore, at least for me. If you have a question you want covered, send it in. You can WhatsApp it to the number on the screen or message it through iMessage, Facebook, YouTube, or wherever you're watching this. The more detailed the questions, the better. My name is Sinclair Fleming. Now, go take action. I'll see you next Wednesday.